This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are breaking down the NBA playoffs. We're talking about how the Cavs survived the Magic in the first round of the playoffs, and also talking about how some of these other teams are either surviving or advancing pretty easy. And then also, could this be the end of the line for the Cavs against the Celtics in round two? Then we're talking about the NHL playoffs. We're talking about some of our favorite rookies of the upcoming NFL season. And finally, who are we taking to make a dynasty in college football 25? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and we are back and healthy. And we might make it through a whole show. Actually, we both sound great right now. Last week, if you listen back, it's very sad how sick we were, I think, last week as we're recording the show.
It wasn't good, yeah. And now that you can hear me, yeah, we're all good now. We're gonna have energy for a full show today. Appreciate you all for hanging in there last week. This week's gonna be at least a lot more high energy. I wish we had slightly more things to talk about, but
such a boring
nonetheless, it's gonna be more fun to talk about these.
One thing that you can't talk about is the fact that the Budapest Cowbells are 2-0. We won 40-0 over the weekend. 40-0. Which is funny because actually in the league rule book, even though we won 40-0 because it was like a point rule, basically like it was running clock, we only get counted to 35 points. I think it's a very bad rule. I feel like we need to get the full amount of points. I feel like it doesn't change anything. They got blown out.
I don't get why
it's such a dumb rule.
Away. Yeah.
And if you want to see, this is my menu that I use. I shouldn't probably show this on camera because it's got plays, but it literally looks like a menu. My head coach was like, "Hey, I need something that's bigger," so I printed him. We have a menu that we use now, pretty much. But
big menu play sheet.
I felt like I was in the NFL for a little bit. I had it around my neck. I was like, "Man, this is feel kind of cool." And called some good plays, and we scored on a first play of the game. Josh, 76-yard touchdown pass on a 5-out. Wasn't even a deep ball. Called skill, talent. Aki, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you, Aki.
All right.
But anyways, enough with the Budapest Cowbells. I mean, enough with that. We'll get to that at some point. But yeah, it is a down week, and I know I'm trying to say this because as a Reds fan, there is nothing for hope to look forward to. But hey, the Guardians looking good. We'll talk about little Cavs this week. We'll talk about some other fun little topics that Josh and I thought, hey, let's just try to spice it up a little bit. So Josh, where do you want to start in this world of, I don't know, boringness for the next couple of weeks?
I think we gotta start with the Cavs, the hometown team. We were unsure if they were gonna get it done against the Magic. The implications that there could be for this organization if they could not get out of this first round once again. But shout out Donovan Mitchell once again. Yes, they survived. They got
Mobley.
Game 7 done, and they are now onto the Boston Celtics. But
as we're recording this,
yeah, that's gonna be tough. But before we talk about the Celtics series and how this most likely is the end of the road, final thoughts on the Magic series. We did not get a single road win in that.
No, and we've started with the Celtics series with 0 road wins. But no, to be honest, Josh, it reminds me a lot of, I would say, like 2006, 2007, maybe 2008, in that range of LeBron James-led teams. Now, I hate to put Donovan Mitchell in LeBron James's shoes because I don't think that's fair. But what I am saying is this team reminds me a lot of these teams that have maybe like guys show up every once in a while, but then they just kind of like fade off into the distance. Max Struss, Garland, like some of these guys. And to me, again, maybe it's just me, Josh. I don't really know, but to me, that's what it feels like, at least in this situation, is that's what we have more of an idea of, I guess.
Yeah, that 07 team that made the finals, yeah, it was LeBron leading most of the way, and then he'd have a couple nice games from guys like Daniel Gibson, sometimes Larry Hughes would be the guy to step up, or Zydrunas Ilgauskas, exactly. And at least those teams were beating like the Detroit Pistons teams that had, both Ben and Rasheed Wallace and Chauncey Billups. This team is just trying to skate by the Orlando Magic, led by Paolo Banchero, Jalen Suggs, and Markelle Fultz, which doesn't exactly stack up to the same talent level at that time.
No.
And Donovan Mitchell, I mean, he's got to give credit to him. He's stepping up, putting the team on his back, said that he's tired of losing and did what he could to get out of this series. It's just now we got to play Boston, the number 1 seed, and I don't think that Donovan is, I don't even think you could really pick any team to just have one guy
No.
beat a team like that. Like you got to have a full team effort. And at least in the Orlando series, we haven't seen it. And if we're going mathematical here, Boston's got 4 home games. If we can't win on the road, it's over from here.
Well, and it's even like we can't like I hate to do this, Josh. I hate to put it, but am I crazy to say that if they don't win at least 2 to 3 games in this series, that Donovan just says bye bye and we're back to 2019? Like, am I crazy to say that? Because like part of me feels like I'm crazy to say that, but
I don't
I,
think it's
I,
I don't
I
think
don't
it's too
know.
crazy. Yeah, the rumors have obviously been there that he's going to leave Cleveland, and we've been unsuccessful in getting any kind of extension talks. And I think this is why. You look at the series last year, we were the better team, and then we let the Knicks beat us, and we almost let the Orlando Magic here beat us after
So I
we
don't believe
had
we're on the same level. I don't
yeah,
believe on the same
after
level.
a 2-0 start to the series, yeah, almost lose this series, almost lose that game 7 actually. But yeah, I think the beating Orlando saved at least JB Bickerstaff's job, but I don't think that any amount of games we win against Boston is gonna at least sell Donovan Mitchell that, just stay here. We're eventually gonna get it
Especially with the
together.
Knicks
These young
doing
guys are
well.
gonna come around. Yeah.
Especially with the Knicks doing well. Like, I don't know, but like, I mean, obviously losing Jarrett Allen, like people don't realize like how big of a blow that was. Like that's like losing your trunk of your tree. And losing him was huge. Um, yeah, like what are your thoughts like if Donovan Mitchell leaves, again, I'm not trying to project here. I'm trying to say like I hope the Cavaliers, like Josh and I are both saying, we're hoping they beat the Celtics. We're not trying to be like, oh, they've lost the series, but they did lose the first game by 25 points. We're just
Yeah.
stating the obvious. But what I am asking is that do you feel like if Donovan leaves, do you think they got it? Or they just say, hey, let's just patch it together and see if we can draw some. Because let's be honest, Cleveland's not really drawing anybody unless LeBron walks back through those doors. So, what is your thought on that? Do you think they just tear it down and just say, screw it, we'll trade away, we'll get some first round picks? Or do they go, hey, let's swing for the fences and see what happens?
That's funny you bring that up because Donovan leaving the exit would be the
I know it would
perfect
be.
spot, right, for
I know it
a
would be.
LeBron homecoming. I don't want that to happen either, but I think if you're Cleveland, you got like Garland entering year 4, year 5. You got Allen, who's
Mobley,
been here
3.
for several years. Mobley's still on his rookie deal. Like you said, they can't attract free agents. They've tried for years. LeBron tried for years and never could really get anybody he really wanted to play with to come to Cleveland. I think that you're probably looking more on like the gutted range because you did what you could with the high picks that you got. This is as far as you could get. And I'd hate to
Yeah.
see what it would have been if we didn't pull off that Donovan Mitchell trade, like how far we would have gotten. Probably way less. We're probably not even making the
Yeah.
playoffs if Donovan Mitchell is not on this roster, as sad as that is to say.
Do you think there is a percentage chance that LeBron decides to finish his career at home, whether Bronny's here or not? Do you because this is my thing. I don't think he wants to stay in the Lakers. And I just if he does, he wants to handpick a coach. But look, he has a record of handpicking coaches and they fail. So that's my question to you. Do you think there's a percentage chance that he comes home, or is this just a bunch of Cavs fans just hoping for a fairy tale ending?
There's always a percentage chance, but I think what overrules that chance by a significant margin is which team drafts or signs LeBron James Jr. because
Yeah.
that's where he's actually going to go. And if that team ain't Cleveland, it doesn't matter. Now, if he goes undrafted, unsigned this wave and has to go back to college, then I'd say it's up for grabs. LeBron probably just signs maybe a 1-year deal with the Lakers and stays there, or he
Yeah.
signs a 1-year deal in Cleveland. I don't know, but I think it ultimately depends
I,
on where his son's going.
I would admit it would be kind of cool for a fairy tale ending. Like it would be cool to like right off the sunset in Cleveland, even though he does drive me nuts on a lot of things that he says. But I do like his new podcast, by the way. I will say that has been pretty cool to listen to and think about from that perspective. But yeah, so I think we both say, and I want everyone to be clear on this. Look, the Nuggets are down 2-2 nothing. Do we think the Nuggets are going to come back and win that series? I don't know. What I do know is that I believe the Thunder and the Celtics are pretty much unbeatable right now, and that's probably going to be our finals matchup. Like that's just my gut feeling right now. I don't know if maybe I'm wrong, Josh, but I just feel like those two teams are just right now kind of untouchable, at least in my mind.
Yeah, to me, it's hard to give up on Denver already,
I
but
know.
they are looking like that. It's both one seeds. They were playing the eight seeds to be fair, I guess. But Denver down 2-0, I definitely did not see that coming.
Yeah, and then obviously Wemby won Rookie of the Year, should have won Defensive Player of the Year. That's a whole other story that we could talk about. If you look at his defensive numbers, ridiculous, and Rudy Gobert gets it. Like, come on, people, come on, give it to Wemby.
Yeah, that's
Wembanyama's a guy. I mean, he averaged 4 blocks and 2 steals a game. I'm sorry, in this day and age,
yeah. We talk about how there's fatigue with giving like certain superstars MVPs, but why haven't we gotten that with Rudy Gobert Defensive Player of the Year awards? I'm
I
sure he's
know.
still a very, very solid defender. That's what he's known for in this league. But it's like, come on, there's better guys. We don't have to like default it to Gobert if we don't know for sure. And I don't even feel like this was a season where we didn't know for sure.
No, it is what it is. But I just think it's crazy to me. But that's the NBA. Again, we could go into every series, but I think most of the series are going to be kind of, I think, cut and dry. I think this year's a very cut and dry playoffs, really, outside the Denver series. I feel like it's very cut and dry. Like, I mean, I think could Cleveland win this series? Maybe. If Jared Allen comes back, there's a shot. But let's be honest, the Celtics are playing at another level right now. And
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the other thing too, is we're not just facing the one seed. Yeah, we're facing this Celtics team that, yeah,
yeah.
it looks like they got.
Now, I think the Pacers is a team that could give a lot of teams trouble, as well as the Knicks. I think both of those teams could give anybody trouble. I hate saying the Knicks because that just makes all of my Stephen A just go into berserk land. But yeah, man, again, if the Cavs could just somehow figure out this thing when they get something nice, it feels like that. It doesn't it feel like it's that kid that you went to school with has a nice car but doesn't really know how to use it. I feel like that's what it is. I feel like the Cavs get a really nice thing going.
But doesn't know how to use it. What do you mean? Like he can't like go 0 to 60 in three
Yeah,
seconds. He can't street
he just
race.
can't drive a nice car like without bumping into things, wrecking it, scraping it. I feel that's what they do. I feel like the Cavs get something nice and special, and we had that one moment chance in 2016, and then it's just kind of faded into the sunset, just like every other Cleveland sports team. Just fades every once in a while. Huh.
Yeah,
So
man.
sad.
Unfortunate, but yeah, tough to be optimistic right now. Boston's 13.5 point favorites for game two right now
Jeez.
as we're recording too, which doesn't
Just
doesn't
that's
help.
that's just oh my goodness.
Do you want to know what the other spreads are for the
Oh
next games
geez.
among the other series?
I'm guessing
For
like
for
do you want me to guess? Should I guess?
Well, I just find it fascinating that they're all less than 6 points, and then you got here Boston 13.5.
They're less. All of them are less than six, and then what? Okay, I get Cleveland struggling, but like they're not that bad.
Yeah,
But they're not that bad.
Oklahoma City, they're giving 5.5 to against Dallas for game two.
Dallas is playing worse than
For
Cleveland right now.
for game three, Minnesota is actually a 4.5 point favorite at
That makes
Denver,
that makes
or
sense.
not at
No,
Denver,
no, it's
but
at
versus
Minnesota.
Denver. Yeah, this one would be at Minnesota. Yeah, so they're giving them home court advantage here. And then yeah, the Knicks are 4.5 point favorites against the Pacers, and then Celtics are
13
13
though.
and a half.
Like I get like maybe like 7 or 8. That makes more logical sense. But 13, you're telling me that the. I mean,
We
I know
did
they got.
just lose by
I
25
know
game
that.
one.
I get that. But what I'm saying is, it's the NBA. This is not like junior high basketball. Like it's not going to be a guarantee every single time that
Yeah, I am fascinated that we are that much
I mean, if
of
you're
an
a gambler,
underdog.
if people out there, if you're a gambling person, I'd go against that point spread. And
You'd bet Cleveland points.
I don't know how it works. I don't gamble, so I don't know how it works. I
Yeah,
just know
well,
you're
it'd
supposed
be
to bet
Cleveland
something.
points, but by the time that this episode comes out, I think the game's already gonna be played. But I'm gonna go ahead and give us the current odds right now on DraftKings, which hopefully someday can be a paid partnership on this podcast.
Oh,
But
absolutely. Because they would love my analysis on all gambling insights.
so you get -112 for betting the Cleveland points,
That's not bad.
which basically comes out to if you bet $11, you win 10, I guess, something
I
like
mean, it's
that.
not terrible. I mean, just
Yeah, you're basically whatever you want to risk, you can win back.
Yeah, I mean it's not terrible. You take
Yeah,
that shot.
yeah. But as far as money line goes, you could bet $100 for Cleveland to win
What's
and get 625.
what's the money line on like Joe Biden reading a normal sentence straight?
I don't know. They only do the sports odds on here, Ben. You'd have to find like a Washington D.C. sports book or something like that. I don't know.
I'm sorry. You know I have to have one political joke on the show.
It'd be
Um,
fun to come up with
it
odds
would
for that
be.
kind of
That
stuff.
would be hilarious. How many times does he say pause? If you don't know what I'm talking about, look the video up. I don't even know if Josh knows what I'm talking about.
I know what you're
But
talking about.
okay, good. I'm glad someone does. Anyways, Josh, I know you had a couple other things you wanted to chat before we get into like a fun topic. So what's the other chattable things?
The other chattable things.
So I guess what we're calling bits now, chattable things.
Yeah, so we just talked some NBA playoffs. I think we got to talk about some of these NHL playoff series too because we're
Yeah.
on to the semifinals
And there was
over
the
here as
lottery
well.
too. The lottery happened.
And the
Blue
lottery,
Jackets
yeah.
got screwed again.
Yeah, let's go ahead and touch on the lottery first, and then we can look at some
Four,
of these
dude.
series since
What?
that does have some local
It
element
does,
to it with
yes.
Columbus. But the NHL worst San Jose Sharks actually did get the number one seed,
Yeah.
not number one seed, number one pick. So at least as far as that goes, it's rare that you see a lottery system set up where the team that actually should have number one pick gets it. But the Sharks are right there. But yeah, our Columbus Blue Jackets ended up
They got
with pick number
hosed
4,
again,
right?
man. Yeah, that's like the second time in 3 years they've got hosed with like the third or fourth pick, and it's like just not the
Yeah.
place you want to be, especially in hockey.
The way that the odds work, I guess San Jose had an 18.5% chance to win the lottery and a 25.5% chance to pick first. So that's
Interesting.
what they were working with. But yeah, after that, the Blackhawks got the second pick, the Anaheim Ducks got pick 3, and then our beloved Blue Jackets got pick number 4. So
Dude, they're so bad right now, man. Like it's not even fun to watch. Like I look at the highlights and I'm like, they lose like 7-3 all the time. Like, how is this like how is this even enjoyable to like
yeah,
watch your
I
team
wish
lose
I
to
could I
misery?
could tell you, but regular season hockey really
I heard it's
gets in the
boring. Is
way.
it boring? I've heard
It's
regular season
not
hockey is
like
just not fun,
I
really.
love going and watching the games, Ben. It's just all the other sports that I like always seem to get in the way of my
That's
hockey
true.
fandom.
Yeah,
Like I
mature.
was explaining to somebody for the hockey season, like the start of hockey, like late October, November,
That's
December-ish, that's
football.
the
Yeah.
heat. That's the heat of college football season. That's
Yeah.
when we're getting into like conference play and then like
It's probably why their numbers
rivalries
are
in
so bad.
November.
It's probably why their numbers are bad because they have the worst timing of their season. They should do it in the summer. At least you're competing with baseball at that point.
Play with baseball and compete against them in the summer and with a sport that plays on ice.
Exactly. That's the point. Make it awkward.
Make it awkward. Maybe you just play all the games in the southern hemisphere where it's technically winter
Yeah.
over
Yeah, you
there.
could. You could do that. I mean here the seasons are weird, man. Like I'm playing my football season in the summer.
Hmm.
Like but they play like basketball all year round and hockey like all year round. So, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Right now that we're in the NHL playoff season now is it's the start of baseball season. So once that wave of excitement of baseball being back wears off a little bit is when I'll probably
Once it
turn
gets
my
boring,
attention
as
fully
Josh says,
to.
once it gets boring,
Well, usually it's
your
boring
Guardians
because
are
you're
not good.
but we're in
Shut up.
contention
I don't
for
want to
like
hear
the
it.
American League pennant right now.
I
So
get
I
it.
don't know if
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that
yeah.
excitement will ever fade away this year. But yeah, man,
Jeez.
Blue Jackets, it seems like it's just it needs to be health, it needs to be a goalkeeper or
They need a
goalie.
lot, dude. They need a lot.
Yeah,
It's
it seems like there's always
they're
like
injury prone, man.
hyped up.
All the good guys are injured, like all the time.
Yeah, Johnny Gaudreau was supposed to save us. The second pick that
Wierenski,
we got last year was supposed to help save us.
he's never
Yeah,
healthy.
it's not there, but we'll see. This will be 2 top 4 picks back-to-back seasons for the team. Hopefully that can turn into something. But we can talk about some of these playoff series now because the games that happened last night were absolutely insane.
I heard there was like a
Uh,
2-0 lead or 3-0 lead they blew or something like that.
yeah,
That's
the
all I remember.
Colorado Avalanche kick off the series against Dallas, down 3-0, and then score 3 to
How does
force
that happen?
overtime
Like,
the
how do
rest.
you?
Yeah.
How?
And it wasn't just like 3-0, if I recall correctly. This was 3-0 after the first period. So Colorado responds with 2 in the second and 1 in the third to force overtime and gets the goal they need to win it there. And then also the Rangers took a 2 lead in the series over Carolina, who was one of my sneaky favorites to maybe make the Stanley Cup. They get that done 4-3 as well in double overtime.
Dude, what that's what I love postseason, man. It doesn't matter what sport it is, man.
It's
It's
great,
just so
yeah.
much fun. It feels like the best, like even like coaching over here. Like, I remember our semifinal game last year. It came down to the last drive. Like it's just something about being like, and I hate it as a player, as a coach, because you're stressed out. But as a fan, you're just like, this is awesome. This is so cool. It's just fun, man.
Let's see. Canucks and Oilers get kicked off tonight in that series. And
I've
then Boston
known
leads Florida
Boston's
right now 1-0 as we speak.
good old Boston Bruins.
We got some good matchups. Yeah, we got 1-2 seeds, both of them in the Eastern Conference right now. And then we got a 1-2 seed and a 1-3 seed out in the West, so that's solid. Curious, Ben, Jake Crane had to take that
Oh boy.
home court, home ice means the least in hockey. And the way he was breaking that down is I don't know if he had a whole lot of home away records to really explain it, but he also added that just how much the puck changes and going back and forth, the crowd can never really get behind you unless it's like under a minute left in the
Yeah.
period, maybe, or then you eventually get the crowd involved when you score a goal. But in football, you can get the crowd behind you because of obviously the time that goes on
Yeah.
between plays, and you hold on possession for quite a while. At least in baseball, you're batting for a whole inning so the crowd can get behind you in that way. Basketball, it does change with the 24 seconds, every now and then, but hockey is just like it's tougher for fans to follow the puck. The puck changes hands so much that the crowd can never really get behind your team fully.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I only go to hockey games for the fights, but sorry, I just had to say that. No, I would say this. I agree to an extent. I think I mean I always feel like, and this is just maybe me being a I don't know, a fan of so many sports. Is like I feel like home advantage will always matter. I think there's always something, because I think about even players themselves, like they're comfortable on their home ice, right? They're comfortable in the place they always play. I think that home advantage doesn't just count the fans, right? Like I think that's what we always think of, but it's also the court or the ice or the way the walls are situated, the way it feels. Like there's just something about playing with that extra juice, as they would say. But I can see it too, like how like the crowd doesn't really get involved, I guess, affecting the play as much. Because everything's so fast. But then again, I've seen baseball teams at home get destroyed, right? Or the vice versa. So again, I think at the end of the day, I think baseball and hockey are probably the two that maybe it doesn't affect as much. Because I mean, I saw the Reds last year almost make the playoffs with a terrible home record, right? Like so, for me, I think it's a very interesting dynamic, if that makes sense. If you understand what I'm trying to say, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I think baseball home field advantage does mean something just because every stadium's like a different size,
Yeah, it's true.
even
Yeah, yeah.
like there's different dimensions there.
But
But
that's what
I'm
I'm
looking
saying.
at
Like I'm even saying the
yeah,
ice though. Like that's even the same way too.
I'm looking at some of the home and road records right now for some of the high seeds in the playoffs this year. You can look at Florida. They were 26, 13 and 2 at home, 26, 11 and 4 on the road. Boston was 24, 11 and 6 at home, 23, 9, 9 on the
Yeah,
road. The Rangers were 30 and 11 at home, 25, 12 and 4 on the road. Carolina
pretty
was
even.
27 and 10, 4 at home, 25, 13, 3 on the road. Dallas was 26, 11 and 4 at home, 26, 10 and 5 on the road. So
Yeah.
we're not seeing too much discrepancy here.
No. No. Oh, excuse me. I just burped. That was gross.
There's not too many teams that just like are obviously killer at home
Yeah,
compared to the road.
that's true. Yeah, I mean, I think either way, I think it's just it makes it for interesting playoffs, because then you don't really have a true advantage, maybe necessarily, as some
Right.
might think.
Like sometimes when you get into a NBA series or like MLB series, you can be like, this game is like, home for this team. And I think that that's going to mean something at this point. But in
Or
hockey,
even
it's like, I don't know, man.
or
I
even
don't
like
even
the
need.
Mets, like when the Mets are playing, or the Twins, they bring their closer in, the lights are flickering, their own music comes out, like their walkout music. Like you don't get that in hockey. Like, hold on, let's pause while we bring in a new winger. Like, that's not happening, right? You just go in, go out. And so
Here comes the third line.
here's the third line. We're going to pause for a goalie substitution. Like, no, it doesn't happen, right? So again, every sport is different. Um, but I think that's what just makes it that much more fun.
For sure. And speaking of fun, couple fun segments to end the show here.
Mhm.
Just curious to pick your brain here.
Yeah.
We saw the draft. We know where everybody is
Yes.
going to get their pro career started off at. So I'm just curious now that we've had some time for the dust to settle. We've gotten over the winners and the losers stint of
Yeah.
things. I'm curious, which top 5 rookies are you most intrigued or looking forward to seeing as pros?
So
And
like
I think
my top five or the top five rookies?
your top 5,
My top five.
because I think it could be boring if we go by
Of
like the
course. Yeah.
top 5 picks and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I think there are players specific to me, depending
Yes.
on the situation they went
Yeah.
into, and then also just
Yeah.
how they could be as pros that are going to be much more
Yeah.
interesting to me than watching maybe how Joe Alt pans out with the Chargers, or how like a
You got
pass
it better
rusher
than us,
pans out for
Josh.
somebody else.
You got it better than us, Josh.
And then I think a lot of other people are going to mention like all quarterbacks too. And
Love how you ignored that. I love it. Um,
I didn't hear you.
I said who's got it better than us? Because I was saying
Oh,
what
who's
Jim
got it better than
Harbaugh said.
us?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
what Jimbo says.
Well, I'm going
Um,
to kick it off in
go.
as close as I can from 5 to 1. One is really all that like is really definitive to me, I feel like. But coming in at number 5 for me, I'm going to throw out Cooper DeJean, and
Daggum
that's
it.
simply because we haven't really ever seen a white corner in the NFL.
How dare you
And
bring out he's white.
the whole, well, not to like put too much weight on the kid, Ben, but like the
It's
whole like
true.
white population is like watching him, and like
That is true.
his performance is gonna like change whether or not the
Perceptions,
NFL will
yeah.
draft future white corners again. Like imagine
Yeah.
your son grows up playing corner in high school,
Oh goodness.
and you have to tell him like once he gets to the college ranks, son, this is where your football career ends, because
You're
the
done.
NFL does not draft
Go in
white
the
corners.
XFL.
If Cooper DeJean can pan out, I think that gives
Yeah.
hope for all the white corners in the future and gives the NFL confidence in drafting future white corners. But either way, the kid's just super athletic. He's in Philly. They seem to develop corners really well over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Steal their pick.
So Cooper DeJean, I'm excited
Yeah.
to see him as a pro. I'm intrigued
Well,
to see how this experiment, if you want to call it that, pans out.
you know, Josh, I hate when we think on the same. Like literally, this whole time we were talking, I was like, "Oh, Cooper DeJean's number five for me." He is number five because I think, like you said, everything you said, I'm gonna reiterate, but also, like he's such a threat. Like, have you seen him return punts? That dude is electric when he
He's
gets the
just
ball in his hand.
athletic overall. Like he was like Mr. whatever state he was from in baseball, football, and basketball, and
Yeah,
probably could have played D1 in all 3 sports.
I mean, we could talk about the terrible ref call where they said he called for a fair catch, which he did not. If you actually look back at that game last year, um, but no, Cooper DeJean, I think, is a guy who yes could play corner, but look, even if for some reason it doesn't work out the way you want it to be, he can play nickel, he can play safety. Like that's how athletic he is, and I think the Eagles got a steal. And when I'm saying a steal, like you can't get a top 15, 20 talent in at what 39 was when they picked
Second
him.
round.
It's like
Hmm.
dude, it's like laying in your lap. These teams that pass on these guys, I just sit there and go, especially when it's your need. Like I'm just like, why? You know, and if it's
Hmm.
because he's white, then that's a whole other conversation that is involved probably other shows on the Daily Wire. But to me, I think that he is just a guy that is going to bring an extra oomph to that defense for the Eagles.
For sure. Number 4 for me, I think it has to be included because he's number 1 overall pick, and that's Caleb Williams. So it's more so
Oh,
by
gross.
default situation
Yeah.
here. I'm excited. I won't say excited. I will say I'm intrigued to see what kind of generational talent this and Patrick Mahomes, that skill he's going to bring to the city of Chicago. I'm
Or
also
did they
excited
waste it?
collectively to see this Bears, I guess, makeover,
Yeah.
going out and trading for Keenan Allen, signing guys like DeAndre Swift, and um, they already had DJ Moore in the building. They draft Roma Dunze at that 9th pick. So they've done a lot to create a situation where Caleb Williams can win right away.
Yeah.
And we're ready now to see if this kid is all that in a bag of chips. So more so by default, number 1 pick, but also I think Chicago did a lot to set up a winning situation here, which they really haven't made much effort
I
for
feel
their
bad for,
quarterbacks lately.
yeah. I feel bad for Justin Fields because I feel like if he's sitting in Pittsburgh, which I know he's probably happy in a new place, but like, can you imagine what he's thinking about? Like, really? I've been begging for this for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And now you do it, like, and that's where I feel like it's a little like I'm frustrated at the Bears. It's like you didn't really put the effort to even give him a chance fairly, but that's a whole other story for another day. Number 4 for me is Mike Hall. He probably could be higher on
Mm.
this list, but for me, Mike Hall, I think, is the perfect fit for the Cleveland Browns. Like there's not many picks that the Browns do on a year-to-year basis where I'm like, that's a perfect fit. But this guy, like, if you just look at the way he plays, now I know he had ups and downs. We talked about it last week, but Mike Hall, if he gets to play early enough and he has a success, that front four is going to be scary. And I could see Mike Hall, I'm going to say a bold statement right now, running for defense player of the year, for rookie
Mm.
defense player of the year. Like what he can do when he's full go and he's healthy, I think is something the Browns have never had. I don't know the last time they had a guy like that inside, and I think that it was a very good steal in the second round.
Michael Hall's there for me mostly because it's Cleveland. That was our highest pick, and I'd like to see how he pans out as like a pass rushing focused defensive tackle, how he's going to plug in there and then
Togi, I
just
failed from the last time when we went defense tackle from Ohio State, so we
mm,
gotta we gotta redeem ourselves.
yeah, just got to see some more consistency from the kid. There's definitely flash there, and you basically said everything else that needs to be
Yeah,
said. So yeah, Michael
three
Hall
for
for
you.
me.
Okay,
3. Yep.
3 for me is Drake May. It's more of the intriguing, kind of like the Caleb Williams for you. Drake May's that for
Okay.
me because one, I just think that what his brothers did was hilarious. That's the first thing that I thought was hilarious.
It was.
It was great. It was phenomenal. But honestly, it's more because of the brand new regime, right? We've heard that Mayo has gone in and taken off everything that Belichick has put on the walls. Has basically been just like it's like Mayo's like this is my team now, and we're gonna run it the way I want it. Um, Speaking of the roast of Tom Brady, weirdest thing I've ever even seen clips of. So weird. Belichick drinking, that's weird, and spiking bottles, but that's besides the point. But no, Drake May. The reason it's fascinating for me, Josh, is because what are you going to do in the long term to help him? This is the first quarterback that is really been highly touted that even had the chance for the Patriots to go after. My question is like, what are they going to do in the future? Maybe not now, maybe not at the end of the year, but in the future years, how are they going to make him their guy if that's truly their guy? And so that's why to
Hmm.
me it's more intriguing at number 3.
Okay. Number 2 for me, feel like this guy's gonna be at 1 or 2 for you as well. Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver prospect that we've been talking about since last year,
Didn't
saying
work
he can
out.
play.
Freak out. We've got to freak out, Josh. Remember, he didn't do any of the workouts beforehand. He might
Well,
be
that's what I
terrible.
was just going to get into. Is like since last season as a sophomore, we've been talking about how he's already pro ready, and then he goes about not going to the combine, not talking to any teams, basically just doing
Took the
everything
medical. That was it.
unconventional. Yeah. So Marvin is here now. He's got Kyler Murray throwing to him.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting to see him as a pro. I don't think we've really had a wide receiver prospect talked about this much or be this highly touted yet coming into the draft. So number 4 overall pick is going to command some attention and some expectations. So we'll see if those separation concerns are anything, or if he's still going to be winning 50-50 balls dominantly in the NFL, just like he did in college.
That is a very good pick. But for me, number 2, and this might be a shocker to you, I don't even know if you see this coming, is Peyton Wilson. If you don't know who Peyton Wilson is, he is a freak linebacker from NC State, and
Hmm.
he got drafted by the Steelers in like the third. Hold on, I think it's the third round. Yes, third round, 98th pick. This guy was talented as like a top 30 pick for most of this past year, and slowly maybe early second would be kind of the latest point. This guy, if you watch the tape of this guy, he is phenomenal. Like he played in NC State, a very good defense. He was the leading tackler. I think he won Defensive Player of the Year once, maybe I think in the ACC. I'm not sure, but he's a guy that I think just fits the Steelers' motto of defense, which it really bothers me as a Browns fan because that was the one guy I really wanted them to get. If he kept slipping, I'm like, dude, let's snag him. But no, we went for a guard, which it's but for me, I think getting Peyton Wilson for the Steelers just gives you that extra dude that is a first round talent that you get in the third round. I think is a genius pick by the Steelers, and I think he's going to have a great career. I'm interested to see what he does and how they use him early on in this upcoming season.
All right, number one's going to be interesting. There's a lot of intrigue on this one for me. That is JJ McCarthy in Minnesota.
Yeah.
The quarterback that I guess I'm looking forward to seeing the most, since we didn't really get to see him in college all that much. We've seen a lot of handoffs. We've seen a lot of
Bootlegs,
screens, a lot of bootlegs. We've seen a lot of those kind of things, and occasionally the nice
hair.
throw that maybe you can put 10 or 11 together for a highlight tape. But JJ's here in the pros. I don't think he's going to be able to just have under 200 attempts in the NFL.
No
We're going
way.
to be seeing him throw a lot. He's going to have a lot of dogs to throw to, though, with Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. So I think this is going to maybe affect the way that teams will draft quarterbacks in the future, too. Like, if there is questions about lack of tape and lack of, I guess, playing in the big moments, because that's something I've always brought up, is in all Michigan's big moments, they went to the run and took the ball out of his hands. Maybe there was a reason for that, or maybe Michigan just really believed in their identity. We'll find it out. But JJ with the Minnesota Vikings, I don't think it's going to work out, but I'm really excited to see how it pans out, and I'm definitely rooting for the kid. So JJ McCarthy, number one, most interested in watching as a pro.
Justin Herbert better be ready that he might get traded because they're not running the ball enough. But no, that was an interesting one. I do want to comment on the fact that Kirk Cousins supposedly left Minnesota because they said they were going to draft a quarterback, and then he goes to Atlanta. They draft Michael Penix. Now, I was thinking about going to Michael Penix, and I think I'm going to. I was going to toss Marvin Harrison in there. Like, again, people know my thoughts on Marvin Harrison, so I feel like putting him in there is just like, that's a token one. I don't really want to do a token one. But Michael Penix is the one that I'm fascinated with, because I'm fascinated to see how quickly do the Falcons screw everything up and they put Penix in there and just say, let's eat this 180 million. Because I feel like the Falcons are very similar to the Broncos in the sense that they loved what they thought they had, and then they're going to try to like change it really fast. And I don't know what you do in that situation. Again, I'm rooting for Michael Penix Jr. I love the kid. As you know, I had him very high going in all my mocks. I think he's going to be a phenomenal NFL quarterback. I just think that he got put in the worst place possible, at least right now. And I'm really interested to see what they do and what's going to happen with him. And again, honorable mention for me is Marvin Harrison. I think Marvin Harrison could have 1,700 yards receiving this year. But Michael Penix Jr., I just think that's fascinating. The fact that you ticked off your guy that you paid 180 million. So what's more fascinating than that?
Yeah. Solid argument there too. Yeah. Watching that situation unfold is going to also be interesting.
It's like two other sides of it. Like, right. You have the McCarthy side of it, and then you have the Penix side of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think the last thing we wanted to talk about today was college football dynasties, specifically in the video game coming out this summer.
The trailer is supposed to come out in like 2 weeks, Josh. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I know you're not a game guy. You're not much of a gamer right now.
Not much a gamer anyway. I don't even have a console right now. So if I want to go and get this game,
I think we talked about this. Yeah, we talked about that's how you're gonna.
Yeah, I got to make like a $600 investment to play one game.
Hey, that's what tutoring money is for me.
Yeah.
It is fascinating though. This game's going to come out. It's supposed to be the most realistic. It's going to have the transfer portal. It's going to have NIL, which I'm so excited. Dude, I'm totally bribing anyone to come to my G5 school that is just like smallest school ever. I'm going to make $1 million. Anyways, I have a whole thing now I can go on. But I want to know, Josh, if you had a console right now and the game came out, what is that one team, maybe... Okay, I really hope you're not the guy that just goes to like Alabama and decides to create a dynasty. I just don't think that's fun in college football. Please tell me you're going to be a guy that's going to go to one of these Group 5 schools, and like if that is a school, what school is that you would try to take to the national title and to create a dynasty?
Yeah, the last time that I did a college football dynasty, it was with Virginia Tech, actually.
Oh, interesting. Interesting
Still
one.
Power 5, but not your typical
Kind of a bad
dominant
one.
Power
Yeah, kind of a
5.
bad one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, more middle of the pack at the time when the game was like last being played. Um, yeah, I don't know about like
Would you
G5
go
teams.
think about the G5 teams now, not maybe back then. Is there any G5 team now that you're like, ooh, I would want to be
Right.
them just for that style of play or the way they look or that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think playing with Boise State is fun
Oh,
and
that'd be
having
fun.
the
Yeah.
blue home turf all the time. I think that see, I got to think here because some of these G5 teams are
I think Eastern
P5
Michigan would be
teams
fun
now, more
because
recently. Eastern
Eastern
Michigan.
Michigan with that gray field, that'd be kind of dope.
Hmm, could be. Um, I also this isn't G5 either, but would like to build a dynasty with Colorado and do it the right way.
I knew that was coming up. I was waiting for you to say that. I was waiting for you to say Colorado.
Colorado
Uh,
or pick Florida and bring us back to
I mean,
stardom.
see, I'm okay with that. I just not okay with people that pick a 98 overall team and then say, I'm going to create a
If you're
dynasty.
already
I'm like,
starting
what's
off
the
like
point?
basically with a national
What's the
championship, the
point?
whole fun part of a dynasty is building up to national championship status from basically nothing. Oh, another fun one would be Hawaii, I think.
Oh, that's always fun. I always try to do a Hawaii one. I have to.
I've never done one with Hawaii, but I think like in the spirit of the question, Hawaii would be one that would fit the bill and be fun to try to win it
I
all with
I'm
eventually.
usually I'm usually a Mac guy. I try to do one Mac school every time, every cycle of the game. I always try to do one Mac school. So I'd always
Hmm.
try to do like, an Ohio or a Bowling Green. Bowling Green, because that's where my dad went. I always felt like kind of a connection to Bowling Green,
Hmm.
which is fun. But the team that I really think would be fun to do, I really do, is I think like a Liberty, because Liberty's kind of one of those weird schools that's kind of like on the edge of awesomeness, but not really.
Okay.
Um, and the only other one that I thought would be fun is like a Nevada or someone like that. Like I've
Hmm.
always wanted to do Nevada, but then there's that part of me that goes, why not do Air Force and just run the triple option, but then switch it up and
Gosh.
say I'm going to run the spread and just say no triple option anymore and make Air Force into more of a traditional team, which is kind of fun.
Recruit a passing quarterback.
Be a very rare thing for them, which I heard there's a
Man.
lot of new things. Again, we could spend hours on like what the new features are going to be. I know I'm going to create like a my player, and I'm going to totally get recruited by Ohio State. No, I won't. I'm so bad at that game. I'd just end up at some Power Five, non-Power Five. But question is, Josh, chances that Josh Burris plays college football in the next 12 months? Percentage chance. What's the percentage chance that we see Josh Burris in a online dynasty with Ben Bowden and Jared Bowden?
I'm gonna go ahead and set it at 20% right now.
20%. That's not bad. Hey, there's hope, people. There's a hope for a fifth and goal and a fifth and goal side of the dynasty and a lovely baseline podcast side of the dynasty going. Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
one day.
Never underestimate the power of nostalgia.
That
But
is true. It's
like
been a
I
long
said, it's
time.
just a big upfront cost for me right now
How
to
old
be
were
able to
you when
go
the
and
last
get
game
it.
was out? How old were you when the last game was out?
The last one was 2014, so
Yeah,
that was like
2014.
when I was graduating high school,
Yeah, so I would have
17 or
been I was
18.
about 18 years old. So it's been like 10 years, man. Jeez, I
Yeah.
feel ancient. Um, anyways, Josh, I that was a fun little episode. That was a fun little episode for this week. Um, is there anything else you want to share with the audience? Any encouragement, any encouraging words that you want to leave them with in this fine Wednesday?
Encouraging words.
Any wisdom coming from that great brain of yours?
Not wisdom, but little side note on Cleveland. We got one of our top prospects, Kyle Manzardo, up on the
I
roster
did see
now
that. I
since
did share
Stephen
that. Yeah.
Kwan is on the IL. So we'll
So
see
sad.
if the kid is all that. He is 25, which is a little older for some rookies making their debut, but we'll see what happens.
So
He can make a splash.
his wise words are: if you're 25, you're too
You
old to
probably
make your
suck.
debut.
No.
Too old to make
Speaking
your
of old
debut.
guys, though, you see, I think it's Monty
Dude,
Harrison,
I saw
former
that. I
Florida
saw that.
Marlin or Miami Marlin,
Saw
going
that,
back
man.
to play college football at Arkansas. I was
Dude,
first thing I
you're never too old, man. You're never
I
too old.
read that again. I was like, I'm literally the class of 2014.
Yep.
What am I? What is going on here?
Josh, this is telling you you got to go try a professional sport. This
Yeah,
is what
don't
it's
go
telling
and
you.
play like NCAA football, the video
Just
game.
go
Go play
back.
real life NCAA
Hey, we
football.
still have eligibility, both of us. We can go play it like, I don't know, Bowling Green. You could
Go
play.
and walk on at Bowling Green with my masters, I guess.
Me and you, we got this. We got this. But anyways, we just want to say thank you again for the support. I know this week we were both smiling at the end of the show and not dying of incongestion. So we really do appreciate it. And we appreciate the support and everything in there. So once again, if you've loved the episode on YouTube, go ahead and click that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell to see what's going on. And also comment below. Who are you playing your dynasty as in the new college football game? I'd be very interested to see the different names. And again, if you say Ohio State or Alabama, just know. But anyways, and also if you love listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a thumbs up and a favorite and share it with your friends and family. And as always, have a great weekend. Until next time, we'll see ya.